Okay. Good morning, everyone. Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Kathy.
Hello, Kathy.
I got Willow here. We're going to do it. She's going to do a tutorial and teach me. Boy, that's a mouthful. And
Yeah,
teach
try to say
me.
that fast 10 times.
I couldn't say it
Mm-hmm.
slow once. And teach me how to make a bracelet with beads from beginning to end. So
Yep.
I'm excited.
And she wanted to learn this, so I offered to FaceTime, and she's like, "How about live?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that."
Because I might not be the only one that isn't sure about like connections and like closures and
People have been wanting me to do tutorials forever. So,
well, you've done. I thought you did one before with me.
no, no, I've talked you through a few things here or there that's just popped up in conversation, but a planned tutorial
Okay,
live. No, this
okay.
is new.
I thought we did something.
The birdies are talking. I'm just
Yeah,
giving it a few minutes to let some people get in here, and
I gave I gave them each a box, so they're happy.
oh,
It took my girl parrot about a year to learn how to play with something that wasn't a little bead. You know,
mm-hmm,
if
yeah,
like I used to take mop heads and string beads on the mop threads
yeah,
and hang it
put
in
them on
her.
there.
Yeah, and she loves to break those apart. So, but that was
That
all
is
she
a
knew how to
saber
do.
claw, and she has come
She
up to
didn't.
say good morning.
Yeah. Hi, honey. Hi,
Come on,
sweetheart.
off the table.
Yeah.
Good girl. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've had to teach kitties. Sable did not know how to play,
Mm-hmm.
and I taught
Yeah.
her. I taught Aspen. Pretty much any rescues that I get um, that are, you know, not a bottle baby, I have to teach how to play. They don't know how to play.
Right.
It's not.
And you would think that they would. I don't know why we would think that they would because they've been busy surviving, not learning how to play. But
Hmm.
you just don't think of that at the beginning, and then it dawns on you they're not playing, and you're like, maybe they don't know how.
Yeah.
But I think she learned from watching Echo, because he came to me knowing how to tear up boxes, and that's all he likes to do. He doesn't like to sit and nitpick. Now Ella loves to sit and nitpick, so the beads on a mop head are perfect for her.
Yeah. Well, for me, my first rescue, Millicent, she didn't know how to play. She thought she was a dog because she
Yeah,
was the only cat in the house.
I had a
And,
cat like that.
you know, we had dogs. And so she would fetch until we got Goldie.
Hmm.
And Goldie was too busy surviving, but Goldie at some point in her life learned how to play. And once she got healthy, um, yeah, it was all on. And then here come Winnie Sue, my little Gwendolyn Sue. And
Hmm.
she knew how to play. She was about 12 weeks old when we adopted her from a friend who had bottle raised them.
Hmm.
And she had already been taught how to play. So once she got done hiding, then the playing began. She
Right.
hid for a good little bit. She was one of my timid ones. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, she was abandoned. The local pound came and um, she was raised in a trailer park on the other side of town.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, your notification just went out, so there's a
Really?
delay on that.
Okay. Because it's
So people ought to start
11:05.
coming in here shortly then.
Okay.
But they came through and swept the park, collecting up cats, and they took the mother. And the mother had been raising them under the gal's trailer, And she notified them that, you know, there's a litter of kittens here that need their mother, and you took the mother. They're bottle baby kittens, and they need their mother. And basically they said either collect them and bring them into the pound or raise them because they're not coming to get them. Thank you very much. Didn't help. The woman was recovering from hysterectomy surgery. She couldn't crawl up under the trailer and get these, you know.
Right.
So she had to call a friend. They came, and she didn't want them raised in the pound. So she bottle raised them and found them homes because she didn't want them to have to experience pound life. So
right.
Because our pound, especially at that time, was particularly rough. And yeah, they wouldn't have gotten the care that they needed. They wouldn't have, you know, if mom was tired or anything like that. So she just bottle raised them and found them homes. And we adopted one. But I don't have my YouTube open, so I don't know how many people are here.
I only show 2, which would be me and Kathy. I don't even know if Kathy's still here, but we got a 5 thumbs up.
Well, that's good.
So we still
I guess I'll just go ahead and start. And if folks show up, I can reiterate.
People will come in if the notice went out late, you know.
Yeah. Okay, this is tiger tail, also known as rat tail. It is metal, really fine metal that is twisted and then covered in, I don't know, some type of plastic. This is the copper tone because we're going to be working with copper findings. This is a finished piece of construction. You have a jump ring holding on a lobster clasp. And we're going to be using crimp beads. This is covered, the crimp bead is covered with a crimp cover, which looks like that. Come on, focus.
Basically, I'm trying to get you big, and I just, I don't know, it's not working. Sorry. I've done it many times. It's just, I can't find it right now.
And then there's just beads strung on there all the way across.
Okay. Do you lay out your pattern first, or do you just build it as you go? Like, what is your strategy?
I lay them out. I lay them out, with an estimate of length, and then I have a few filler beads here in case I need to add length, and if I need to shorten on the very end of the length here, there's just like 3 little beads, and I can always remove or reduce if need be.
Okay, so that's what spacer beads are used for?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much. Which on here
I didn't know that.
I used copper. Well, you can do spacer beads so certain beads don't rub. You can do spacer beads just because you want each bead to be, you know, focused on a little bit better. I used some amber glass as spacer beads throughout so that each bead stood out on this one. You know, you don't have to use spacer beads. I prefer that myself. And I'm only human. I noticed here on these open filigree copper beads, I missed the hole and went in the side. So this will get restrung because that's going to drive me batty. But yeah, I missed the hole with the wire and went through a side on the filigree.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice it until this morning. By the time I got done constructing this, I was exhausted. So that's probably how I missed that. And then I just did a little dingle dangle here on the end. I didn't have one of the regular little like teardrop or little ball dingle dangles. So I did a ball and then I added just a little flower loop on there just to give it a little bit more dimension. And there it is. course, it has an extender and it's plus size friendly. You know, so.
Okay, so how do you choose your beads?
Just,
Or do you go by color? Do you go by size? Like, what is your thought process on it?
well, I go by color mood, whatever mood I'm in to create. I wanted to do more of a jewel tone here. And I'm not really focaling, but I did do kind of a focal bead because I just thought these vintage 1960s swirl glass beads were just
And they're
awesome.
gorgeous.
And, you know, then I just did glass. It's all glass except for the two metal beads here, just to emphasize the copper, because that is what I assembled it with, is copper. And I'm going to do that again on this one that I'm going to build. These are the beads for this next one. Here's my findings, and of course my tiger tail. But what you do to start is you take a crimp bead, kind of hard to see, they're so tiny, but it's just a little copper crimp bead, and you put that on there. Then I do a large jump ring. You take the end of the tiger tail and loop it up over the jump ring and back into the crimp bead.
Okay.
And that is just securing. I always leave an inch or two of a tail, just so I got something to hang on to, because you want to kind of hold on to both and push that crimp bead up. I don't like making them super tight. I like leaving a little bit of space, because if you make them too tight, it seems like there's more constriction. And also, you know, once you've added either your tail end extender or your clasp, it can't move around. It's so rigid, and it makes it harder to put on. But also, I just think that constriction of making it too tight is going to wear down that tiger tail a lot faster.
Okay.
And I have
Makes
these
sense.
These are crimp pliers. Going to close them here. The first one is kind of a marquee shape or oval. The second one is kind of curved, kind of like a macaroni noodle. We're going into the second one. You do the curve, because then that puts the wire. It'll just settle in, and the wire will be crimped in its own little canal. And it adds that little curve so that it will fit comfortably inside. I use crimp covers. This is a copper crimp cover. Get it on there. Excuse my slowness. My hands are grumpy today.
You're fine.
And you just cradle it in that little crimp cover. Then you use the first slot on your crimp plier and just nestle that little cover right in there. Give it a squeeze, and it closes up, and it just looks like a bead. And it's covering up that crimp.
Nice.
Which protects it and also just makes it look prettier. You know, it just looks a little more finished. Okay, that's our start.
Okay.
And you can either put your clasp on the jump ring before you start, oops, wrong way, or you can do it after. I do it after, because it's just a little bit more control while I'm setting that crimp bead, if it is flat like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and add that on there. Just like so. And there's your one end. All right. Now we're going to string without the extra. I've got some extra spacer beads here in my dish. Get my dish down here. Find these. Got some extra little blue beads right here in case I need them. But you're not going to really know if you need them until you string your baseline. So if you need to add length, guess what? You get to pull them off and line them up again.
Okay.
But this should be all right lengthwise, and I shouldn't need them, but I always have them ready just in case. Keep my camera back on my phone. I have an image of my lineup of beads. Okay, so yes, I do need that little white bead that ran away.
Do you always have a focal?
I tend to. It's the Libra in me. You know, it's got to be centered and then balanced on each side.
Right.
Some people do random. I don't know. I'm not big on random for this. So that's just me. These are, all the white beads in this are milk glass. These are really old. These are from like the 40s or 50s, and there's just all different shapes. I harvest them. Every bit of these beads has been harvested off of junk jewelry, aka craft lot jewelry.
Right.
None of these beads are new. Off on me. There we go.
And are all the beads glass? I forgot.
Yes, these are all glass.
Okay.
Yeah, all the little white beads, whatever size or shape they are all milk glass. They were all harvested from the same necklace. And this is, of course, a lampwork. Lampwork glass little birdhouse. But you just string them on.
Okay, so hi Robin. Good morning.
Good morning, Robin.
Hi Janie. Good morning. So talk about the difference between a wire or a nylon or elastic.
This is the plastic coated twisted wire. You can use like nylon. I call it monofilament because I used to fish, and yeah, I don't know all the modern terms for all of that because I just always called it monofilament. In fact, I didn't. That's where I bought. Was in the fishing department. They didn't have it in the bead department yet back when I started.
Right.
They didn't come up with that until what, the 90s, late 90s, something like that. Could have been a little earlier, but it wasn't on my radar. And you can use either, and you can still use crimps and everything on it. But the nylon will not have quite the longevity that your tiger tail will. Okay, on this end, you have your little tail, and you just squeeze it, pinch it, and ease these first few beads on, and they will hide that little tail. You just want to make sure that you get it all hidden up in there. Just like so. So there's all the beads strung on. With the clasp, this comes to 7.5 inches. So by the time that you add your extender and everything, this will be a bracelet that an average size person could wear, or somebody with a thicker wrist will be able to wear easy. So
Janie says it's pretty.
Thank you. Hello, Janie.
Okay, so talk about this length of what you'd start with and what you'd end with.
Well,
and how do you what's like standard sizes, and how do you measure?
basically, like 7 inches ish is a standard, between 6.5, 7 inches. This is 6 7/8, so it is just a hair shy of 7. By the time you add the jump ring that you would hook onto, it will be 7 inches. 7
Okay.
inches is kind of the standard. I generally do a 2.5 to 3 inch extender. The reason I do such a long extender is then I could wear it as an anklet, I could wear it as a necklace, or a bracelet, I mean, or my dolls could wear it as a necklace. I like the variation,
Yeah.
I have dolls. But yeah, there is the link. And for those that have joined us, this is a finished piece that I showed at the beginning to give you all an idea of what we are making. There it is. I made this one up yesterday, and I boo-booed. These open filigree.
Yeah, but you can't tell that.
The hole right there and went through on the side in the open filigree work. So this one will have to be restrung. But yeah, I'm only human after all. Crap happens. Okay, now we're going to pause on that. I wanted to show you guys. Usually the little dingle dangle that they have at the end of your extender is usually just like a little ball or a little teardrop, not on a head pin. They're just made that way. They got a little loop. I couldn't find one in copper, so I'm making my own. And I didn't want to do just a plain little ball, so I added a little flower disc bead onto the head pin. And a head pin is just what it is. The end of it has been hammered down to look like a nail head.
Okay.
And you use round nose pliers. You can see they're cylindrical, kind of like a cone. And these are what you use to create the loops on the end of head pins, eye pins, any of that.
Okay.
I'm going up about 1/4 of an inch on the end here. I don't need a teeny tiny one, but I don't want a huge one either. So this is kind of average size, about 1/4 of an inch up, at least on this pair of round nose. And I just grip fairly tight to the bead. Doesn't have to be super tight. I like to allow a little movement. Some people want it just as tight as can be. I'm not that girl. And you just push it around, so, and then kind of do a little bit of a crossover here. It can be kind of challenging with this flat bead that I've got on here, but you can see that it has the bead. Oops, go back over there. The beginnings of a loop. Now, I'm gonna take my nippers. What you want to do is ultimately you want this wire to cross over. See if I can get it to cooperate with my hands today. You want it to kind of cross over to where you can visually see. Come on, hands. Good gracious. You can visually see where the lineup is. Okay. Right about where they would connect on the crossover. Up just a hair from there. And you snip it. And then I grab my round nose back up. Okay, now there's my little hook. I'm gonna go down to the very tip, and I'm gonna bend that back the opposite direction so that it creates kind of a right angle. Then I'm gonna grab that tip with the tip, swing it around so that it meets up with the other wire. Might have to take that tiny tip and give it a curl. You can see where they're lining up. I grab it this way and kind of flatten it out because it's usually got a little bit of a twist going on. And I can give it a pinch if need be or whatever to bring it together. And you can see perfect little loop. I hope you can.
Yeah.
All right, now that we have that dingle dangle, the only copper chain that I can get my hands on out of my stash is the Twisted Busy. Well, guess what? That ain't gonna work. You can't hook a lobster clasp through that. So when you get a predicament like that, because I'm showing some troubleshooting along the way here, because when you do harvest jewelry and stuff, and not everything's brand new, things happen, and these are ways to make it work. Okay, what these are, they're basically jump rings. They're just the split is at one end, you know, of it instead of on the side a normal oval jump ring would be. So what I do is I follow the line of the main chain, and you're gonna find them that are just loose, kind of dangly. They're not part of the main or master chain. You just take a hold of those ends, pop it open, take them off, set them aside, use them for another project later. And as you continue to do that, and just remove those extra bits, and I debated on whether or not to have this already done, but I wanted to show you this because it's a way to salvage. You can always reconnect the extra jump rings and make another little short chain out of them. Kind of a 2-for-1. But you just follow that master chain down and just keep removing the jump rings that don't belong.
Okay. Yeah.
And see, you can see the master chain is starting to reveal itself. But yeah, you just follow where that master chain goes and remove anything that isn't part of the master chain.
Okay. So harvest those next time, because this is how you use them.
Well, this came off of a long, long length of copper chain. I just snipped off, the length that I needed for this. And then I was like, no, wait a minute, that ain't gonna work, And I thought, okay, yep, we're gonna pull master chain out of this twisted chain so that I have my extender that I need. And it doesn't take too terribly long. It can be just a wee bit tedious to some. I don't have a problem with this kind of thing.
No.
Because in the end, I'm getting what I want.
Right.
Just having to do a little bit of a scenic journey to grab it. But when you do a lot of harvest jewelry, sometimes this is what you do to get what you need if you don't have what you need in the stash that you got. And you just make it happen. As you can see, I'm through already.
Is there like a standard size for an extender on a bracelet?
Usually it's 2 inches. Like I said, I like to do 2.5 to 3 so that I have the option of, like this wouldn't necessarily work on a doll because you got a sideways birdhouse. But this, I could put on a doll. I do a longer extender because, I share my jewelry with my dolls. That could be a necklace for my size Barbie.
Right.
And it might be just the perfect piece that she needs for whatever dress or gown I might be making for her for, oops. Okay, there's the mistake. I accidentally took a master loop. So you just hook them back together again. You pop one open and put them back together. It happens. And that's okay.
Yeah, you got to enjoy the process. These are the processes that I wanted to see, and I knew it wasn't just about stringing beads. And I didn't, these are the things I needed to see and want to see before I start something new, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. These are just little tidbits of the knowledge and the tips and tricks to avoid pitfalls that I've experienced over my decades of jewelry construction. And if anybody that watches this does need, you know, to ask me questions, anything like that, you feel free to do so in the chat, or you can contact me on Facebook, or you feel free to email me.
Yep.
I can drop my email in the chat.
Definitely.
You know, I'm more than happy to help. You know, if somebody needs a FaceTime on Facebook or something like that to sort through a troubleshoot that they just cannot seem to figure out, you know, I'm more than happy to help people do that. There it went. Almost to the end. I just got 2 or 3 more of these extra rings to pop out of here.
She's exactly right, because that's what happened. We were in a chat, and she offered to help me with a FaceTime, and I said, well, how about maybe a tutorial? You know, you can come on my channel and do a tutorial, because if I'm asking, there has to be other people that want to know, you know, even if they're not here right now.
Wouldn't do this. Normally I wouldn't do this, but there are so many people on YouTube that have been wanting me to do tutorials that already contact me, and you know, I help them troubleshoot some construction issue, things like that, or, you know, ideas for solutions, you know, whatever. You know, there's a lot of people that, the jewelry sellers that will contact me and ask me to identify jewelry. You know, what era is this? Or stones, you know, what stone is this? And yeah, I've been helping with that kind of stuff for, you know, like 3+ years now.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't have a problem helping folks learn, you know, how to do these things.
And Willow has a lot of knowledge in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
Right, Willow?
Yeah. I've just been doing this stuff for so long that, you know, it's just part of me.
Right. Now, are you like me, like that you're doing something every minute of the day?
No,
with your hands,
it depends on pain levels. It depends on mood. If I'm not physically constructing, however, mentally, yeah, I'm doing something. I'll be in an auction. They'll be bringing stuff up, and you know, I'll be like, oh, well, I could do this or that or whatever, you know, to enhance just a home goods item, or embellish even a T-shirt. You know, just whatever. Oh, that was smart. Close that. What I'm doing here is I'm adding a jump ring and putting this end on, if I can put it on before I close the frickin' jump ring.
Now remember, this was the chain that had all those jump rings on it to make a different design.
Yeah,
and
that is the master
took them all off, and now she has just the bare chain there.
Yeah, that is the master chain.
Oh, master chain. Okay.
Oval. Yeah, that's what I call it when you got extras that are changing the chain. Pretty much any of those start out with a master chain.
Okay.
And then they add to it to create that spiral that I was showing you, or what have you.
Yeah.
You know, that's where that terminology comes from, is just that right there.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, there is my extender now, ready, complete, good to go. I'm not quite sure why I got these little brass beads out, because I don't need them on this particular design that I'm doing. Brain fart. I have those a lot. So basically, all of this over here is extras. All we need is these 4 pieces right here. Okay, we are at the end of.
Okay, now what pieces did you pick out and why? What are they?
Okay, this is just a jump ring for the for doing the final loop here to add the extender to. This is the crimp bead, and this is the crimp bead cover.
Okay, okay.
That's all that's left that we need to add on to this to have this complete.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do
they're
here,
little dots, and I wasn't real sure. I thought that's
yeah,
what
and
they
I've got
were,
my
but I
camera about
couldn't.
as close as I can without
No, you're doing
it sitting on my
fine.
palm.
You're fine. I just wanted to make sure I was right.
Yeah, I can show you close up the little dish.
No, you're fine. I just couldn't tell what the all
Yeah.
you pulled out of the pile.
All right, there's a crimp bead going back on here. You take the end, you add your jump ring, just like we did at the beginning. You loop your tiger tail back through your crimp bead. You bring your crimp bead down fairly snug to the beads. Then you pull this good and tight. Now that crimp bead's going to want to keep creeping up on you. I use my fingernails to keep it pressed in against. Snug that puppy up. Not super tight. Like I said, I like to leave just a little bit. And I also leave just a tiny bit of space because the crimp cover is going to be the size of the bead, not the size of the crimp. So you want to leave just a little breathing room for that crimp cover to go over if you use those. Back to my crimp pliers. Second slot to create the curved crimp. And you give it a swish. And then put the cover over the crimp if it'll cooperate.
Now you're using the same tool for the crimp as the cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. I use the second slot to squeeze the crimp. I use the first slot to squeeze the crimp cover.
Cover, okay.
Yeah. Because you don't want your crimp cover turning, getting squished and looking like a fortune cookie.
Yeah, right. Which is what I would have probably done first. Whoops.
I've done a
I
few,
got
trust
that
me.
far.
And I've been like, oh, great. Now I got to figure out how to take that off.
Yeah, because I
And
don't know. I cut them off. I don't
do-overs.
know how to take them off. Yep.
I actually, I hold it like so, slit up, and I go into it with a scribe. And I just jam that puppy through there to force it open. And you have to get you have to get a little busy with it, but yeah, I just jam, and it'll pop back open. Got a little tiny gap just from that little bit of a push that I did, so I will reclose that. But yeah, I grabbed a scribe because I had a feeling somebody was going to ask.
Me.
These scribes, these were my father's. I have like 20 of these.
Awesome.
These were my dad's. He used these in his locksmithing. And I still use his scribes today. One of these scribes, you have the point on the end. You hear the jingle jangle?
Yeah.
Well, that's because you take that end off and you have more tips inside.
Right.
So if you buy one of these scribes, don't think it's just that one tip you get. If you bend or break that puppy, there's more inside.
Yep.
I don't remember how many comes in one of them. Because like I said, I've been using these same ones. Dad closed his business January 1st of 1992. And I've been using these since then. He passed away in 2003. So 11 years after he closed his business. And I'm still using them.
And you're using them in a different way. But it's awesome that you're using them,
Yes. And I had to scrub them because they were like covered in WD-40 and graphite. And yeah, they were nasty. But yeah, they got a bath. Because yeah, I don't want that all over me all the time. Not anymore.
They were tools of the trade for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, he used them a lot in his lock work. He wasn't just a fireman, he was a locksmith. That was his moonlighting job. He took classes through the mail and learned it.
Awesome.
And when he retired, he was a master safecracker and master locksmith.
Wow, good for him.
His decades of work, because he got his license when I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
All right, now I've opened that jump ring that I put on the end of that tiger tail, and I'm going ahead and adding my extender. I use a larger jump ring on this end than I did on this end, because, you know, the lobster clasp might connect right there for somebody that is average size. But on up, you know, might be for whatever suits somebody with a larger wrist. So I always make the jump ring right next to the body on both ends, just so they match. A little bit larger than I would use anywhere else in the design. Just have it. I mean, I don't need the larger one on this end, but I like them to match. It's a matchy Libra thing. So everything's got a balance. If it isn't balanced, it drives me batty.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. And I thought, okay, Kim, don't even ask that question. That's weird. But I'm going to ask it anyway. Like, doesn't the extender make it hang funny because it's not even?
Not really. Not really.
Like on a necklace,
I wear my bracelets.
You have to wear it sideways, kind of.
It can, but bracelets are going to spin on the wrist anyways. I wear mine loose. I like to dangle, and I like the feel.
I like mine loose too.
Hi, Laura. And I will show you here momentarily why I like that.
Okay.
All right, we are going to take the tiger tail and feed it back through. I do at least 1.5 inches of beads. Usually I just push until it just won't go no more. Then I'll force it into an angle to come out so I can snip it off.
And about how much are you putting in there, do you think?
About 1.5 inches is my minimum.
Okay. Good to know.
But I will let it go as far as it'll go. If all of this, what, 6-ish inches wants to go down through there, I'll power to it. I'll let it do it.
Okay.
But usually I snip it within 2 inches, or when it just decides to pop out, which it has just done right there, which is making my life a lot easier because I don't have to sit there and try to log jam this puppy through anymore. I can just give it a pull, and you'll feel a little pop right there when that last little tiny bit pops into place. And then I just, again, take my nippers and I get up in there as tight as I can, careful not to cut your already strung bracelet. And of course, these nippers are about worn out. There we go. Give it a little jiggle, and that little end will pop into the next bead, and voila, you have a strung bracelet on sturdy tiger tail. I would not recommend using thread or anything like that for these. The weight of the glass in particular, but you catch. If it's on your wrist, you're gonna catch it on things. It's not like it's around your neck, where you're not gonna get, hung up on, the faucet or the doorknob or whatever, So I always use sturdy material, and a good sturdy monofilament or the rat tail is kind of my go-to for that, for bracelet construction. If I bead weave a bracelet, I will use my Nymo to weave it. Then I go back through with Kevlar thread and shore it up.
Oh.
And yeah, if it's going on my wrist, yeah, I Kevlar it. I go in and shore it up with Kevlar. Even if.
And what does that run?
I just, work my way through and, get myself hooked into the ends. I will Kevlar that puppy because I want it to last. I don't want to go to all that work weaving and have it fall apart the first time I wear it out.
Yeah.
Kristen.
And what does that cost?
This here.
Well, what's it called?
About, I don't know. When I bought mine about 15 years ago, it was about $11 a spool. but it's like a spool of thread. It's super thin. I
Oh,
mean,
is it? Okay.
and they sew police, you know, pew pew proof vests.
Right.
You know, it's you can load it in your sewing machine. It's thread.
Yeah. Oh, you can load it in your sewing machine. Really? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a seamstress thing I learned. I was like, ooh, Kevlar. Yeah, let's try it. I want to do a little research on that in the bead world. Yes, Japan figured it out, and they do
Yep.
sell
So
it in
it's
the bead world.
actual thread.
You know, who knew? This is the demo piece that I did to show you what we were going to be making.
Oh God, look at that sparkle.
Yeah, these are fire polished faceted crystal rondelles. They do have glass rondelles. They don't have quite the sheen, but they're close. They're getting really good at faking it. And I think they've even got resin ones now that are faceted like that. But these are all glass.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of them you get like if you buy new at Hobby Lobby, some are glass, but yeah, some are actually resin. They'll call it glass, but it's not glass. But yeah, there is the demo and the completed one for today on that. Now, if you want to learn another technique, give me a moment to get set up. And we are going to use jump rings and eye pins, and we're going to make another bracelet using a different basic technique for bracelet assembly, but just using some different materials. Get my tush shifted here. Need to get off that one hip. All right. Here is the demo piece. Each of these beads, or a cluster of beads, I wanted to do clusters so you could see that as well, are on an eye pin. You simply assemble a jump ring to add the clasp, jump ring to add each layer, jump ring to add the focal, right back through the other end, jump ring to add your extender, and then I kind of like a little fancier, little dingle dangle sometimes than just the standard like I showed you before. This is actually a charm that came off of a charm bracelet. It is two-tone. It has silver tone and then gold tone little triple dot doohickeys spattered on it. Then on the back side of it, it says, kindness is free. Sprinkle it everywhere. So yeah, I'm a softie. Who knew? But this is a ceramic owl. These are the shell discs. These are some awesome little glass dingle dangles. And then these are little ceramics that I thought complemented those well. So we're going to do gemstone on this one now. All right. I have made up bead cluster stations with eye pins. These are sodalite and picture jasper. These are turquoise and silver tone beads. And yes, this is really old turquoise that has patinaed off the green, probably from the 60s or 70s.
It's beautiful.
These are snowflake obsidian balls, just done by themselves to create a station. Once you take a bead and you put it on an eye pin, get back over here, you little jigger. Put it on an eye pin, put it on a head pin if you want to dangle it instead of having it as a connector. These are called stations. That's what they're called. And these are white quartz with little silver tone balls to create the final pairing of stations that we will be using on this. And then our focal is going to be a beautiful piece of yellow calcite.
Okay, cool.
And I left this unconnected so I could show you again a little easier shape how to create the loop on the other end of an eye pin. Then I've got
cool.
clasp. Already added the jump ring to attach on one end. And here is my extender, which I did the standard little dingle dangle instead of a fancy. And just added a jump ring to be able to attach it to the final station on the other end. And here's the jump rings that are going to make it happen. So I will pour me out some of these. like so. Let me pull up my image on my camera of the final. I pre-organized these for the show today, and I'll go back.
That's what I do too. When I lay a piece out on like a box or something with polymer clay that I'm doing, I'll lay it out the way I want it, and then I'll take a picture of it, and then I'll start to glue it down.
Well, with
but I'll refer back to my picture
today. I wanted to have a reference for me to make this transition from the one style to the other just a little faster. So I'm not going to be sitting here fiddling for an hour, you know. It's easier. Okay, here's my centerpiece. And we do the turquoise. And we do those, then we do these. And those. All right, the construction is laid out. That passed. Gotta love it. Okay. Let's go ahead and do this eye pin. All right. Take the end of it and just give it a little bend. That does that right angle on it. Again, I go about 1/4 of an inch in on my pliers. Take that wire and spin her around. You can see where it's just about going to cross over on itself. I take my nippers. Give it a little, well, it ain't going to snip, so I'll just do the pinch and squeeze. There we go. Sometimes if your pliers start wearing out, that will happen. And it will put an impression, and then you can just grab them and give it a little wiggle, and it'll break off. Easy peasy. And then add to your next shopping list to the craft store to get a pair of replacements. So that you don't have to do that. And then you just take that tip by the tip of those pliers and you just spin it around until it connects. Sometimes you gotta give it a little extra squeeze. And if you notice in that, I lost the right angle. I put that back. And now, as you can see, I've got one facing this way and I've got one facing the other. I will take here and I would get a hold of this one and slowly, not fast, because you don't want to overheat the wire. And I will spin that little buggy around so that they're both flat, going in the right direction. Anytime you work with the metals like this, you don't want to move them fast because that heats them up. You want to move slow. Okay. Otherwise, if you go too fast, it weakens and it'll break. It'll break. Okay. So, yeah, that slow motion allows it to move and go where you need it to go without heating up the metal, because silver tones, silver, gold, it don't matter. If you move the wire fast, it breaks. Like when I wiggled that little tip off, you know, I went fast. It broke. I needed it to break. This I don't want to break, so I move slow and it won't break. Okay. Just a little FYI. All right, got my extender and I got the first jump ring. And all we're going to be doing is popping open jump rings and adding a tidbit, closing the jump ring, moving up to the tidbit. We will need a jump ring for that. So I will open another jump ring. I will add it on the end there. Add the next station. Close the jump ring. And I'm betting that you can guess at how fast this is going, how fast this whole thing is going to come together. And that in part is because I've already prepared the stations. Right. But, you know, it takes about as long. You know, you've seen how an eye pin is created on the other end. It doesn't take that long. And with practice, yeah, you could whip this puppy out in 10 minutes.
Okay, cool.
But it's just another form of construction that can be used to create necklaces, bracelets, curtain tiebacks, whatever. It's just
Okay, so
another.
let's talk a little bit about stations. Is there like a size?
It's just whatever works for you, whatever you do.
Okay, so it can be
just when
two
you've
beads, it could be 4 beads.
One or more beads and put them on an eye pin and created a section, that's called a station. Simple as that.
Okay.
It's just a definition for a component. And yeah, once you slap some beads on an eye pin, close the other end, you've created a station. You've got already made stations, things that have, holes on both ends where you can connect them that way or whatever. It's called a station too. I gotta find one. I can't find that. Some of these I can't see. The split to know where to open it, and instead of sitting here dealing with
move it on, right?
Do what, hon?
Just move on.
Yeah.
Forget that one and get another one.
That's all I can do. Another day I'll be able to see it on another project, or I won't be live and have to worry about exponentially.
God, that's so pretty.
Just saving you guys having to deal with my eye issues like that. My hand let go just enough.
Kristen says these are nice because you can use spool wire to create.
Yeah. Yeah, you can make your own eye pins with spool wire, aka, just large lengths of wire that are sold on a spool. I just have a plethora of already made eye pins in my drawer over there, so I just used already made. I don't have a lot of the thicker spool wire because I don't do much wire work.
Wow, now see, maybe that's what I should be doing instead of trying to create bracelets or necklaces with my beads, is to make stations.
You could.
I think that just seems like something I would really enjoy doing.
Well, if you're not in the mood to create a bracelet, but you want to play with beads, just pre-making up stations to add to your stash.
Yeah.
Good way to go.
Yeah.
All right. If you notice here, somebody ran away.
Yeah, where?
It goes right there. So we're going to stop and put it.
Oh, no.
I'm only human.
Oh.
What?
You got to put that bead down there? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it belongs right in here between these two stations.
Okay.
But it's super easy. You just reopen a jump ring. Like so.
Do you, Kristen? See, that's what I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to do that.
You could do this with clay beads that you've made. You could do this with just whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a means to an end on, the creation process. Some people will have drawers and drawers of stations that they've already made up. And they'll just go with cash when they go to construct. I prefer to make my stations custom for each design because I'm so moody about, what beads I'm going to use, stuff like that. If you want to see the process that I go through to come up with beads for designs, go to Stacy Mays /Catitudes channel. I chose beads for these projects on her craft live yesterday.
Okay.
These beads were chose on her craft hangout yesterday. And so if you want to see the process that I go through there, squirrel left, squirrel right. Oh, I need gemstone. No, You know, I'm liking this. Not sure, you know. Yeah. You want to see that? Just go see her hang out, and that's where that happened.
Nice.
So if you want to see my bead crazies, yeah, have a looky
I'm
loo.
going to, because I had asked you about how do you choose your beads.
Well, now you can see.
Yep, I'm going to.
Choosing beads is a big thing for me.
Well, and I think it is too.
Fabric.
That's why, you know, I couldn't decide whether I thought I was being anal about, you know, asking you to do this. Like, come on, Kim, it's not that hard. Well, no, it isn't, but I want to do it right, you know?
Sometimes the visual and the live interactive gives you an opportunity to physically see it being done and pick their brain while they're doing it. It's like you've been doing, to learn the best ways and, you know, my thought process and stuff like that. Sometimes even somebody's thought process can, oh, well, I never thought that way, you know.
Yes, I love to hear thought processes. Yes.
I am all about the journey, not so much the finished product. So my journey.
That's what I said. I can string beads, but there has to be more to it than that, and there is. You know, that's what I wanted to do this one for. Okay, Kathy asks if you could explain what a station is again, please.
Okay, a station is a component used in the construction. You take beads and string them onto an eye pin and close the other end, and it's that individual section. That's a station. You know, it could have multiple whatevers if you bead wove it. I could put a beaded bezel around that and, you know, have means to connect it to something or put a pendant thing on it. That's called a station. Simple as that. It's just it's a component to create a finished product in jewelry construction, and it's called a station. They've got pre-made stations. They've got, you know, all different kinds. It doesn't have to be a bead on an eye pin. It can be whatever. This is ceramic. It has a loop in the ceramic that was put in before it was fired. To have a loop on each end to make it a connector. And yeah, that's a station. Simple as that.
I love that bead.
And this is done. That fast. Boom, 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 boom. And it's just eye pins with beads and jump rings, a clasp and an extension.
See, the light bulb went off when you said stations, you know, the light bulb went off for me. It's like, yep, that's exactly what I need to do. That's it right there. I knew there was something that, I mean, I needed to know everything, but when you said, I was worried about the design and how you pick your beads and, you know, that kind of thing, or does any combination hurt on a wrist or any, you know, just like what's the tips for choosing. And when you said stations, to me that's and I hate taking those necklaces apart, the station ones. But I think that's the way I'm going to go for some bracelets.
Well, if you look here, do I have it on there even? Okay, I do. Okay, this one's about 7 5/8 inches long. Between 7.5, 7 5/8 is close. And then you've got your extender. Just throwing this together with the stations that I had, looky here. It's 10 1/4 inches long. That is far too long for a bracelet. This is a pitfall, and I did this on purpose. Okay, now, what am I going to give up to make it a bracelet length?
One of the stations.
Yes. So now you got to pick pretties and remove a pair. What are you going to give up?
I would give up from the center bead. I would give up number 3 on each side.
So the snowflake obsidian?
No, that's go the other way. From the snowflake obsidian, go out 1, go out 2. Number 2 is what I'd take. I was counting the snowflake obsidian as 1. So the second station in each
so here
from the bead. Yes,
so the
ma'am.
sodalite
right
Jasper station.
That's what I would take off. Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is these go together so quickly that you can forget I'm making a certain size something and just start putting them together,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and forget your length. You'll love the look, but guess what? You got to give something up, you know. That's the point that I was making is, oops,
Yeah.
this is far too long. What am I going to sacrifice out of this look that I just love, to make it right? Personally, I'd remove these or possibly these because they're so large. I intentionally put something smaller on the end because it just lays down better when you're cupping it around your wrist and trying to get your clasp met up.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't want that on the end. So I would probably give these guys up. But it's just a thought process again that I'm pointing out. Oops, you know, I screwed up. And now you got to think that one through, you know, kind of stuff. It's just stuff that happens in jewelry construction. It's the reality of jewelry construction life that, yeah, you're going to space it and you're going to put too many together, or you're going to space it and, oh, I missed that one. I had to go back and put it in, et cetera, you know. It's just what happens. But yeah, I did this intentionally because I wanted to point out some of those pitfalls of fast construction and, you know, you're watching TV while you're making jewelry, and then all of a sudden you look up and your bracelet's like 14 inches long, and then you're like, you know.
That would be me. That would be me.
It happens. Well, you know, it happens, yeah. And it's happened to me. Or I'll be like, well, maybe this would look better as a necklace. What stations could I add and just turn it into a necklace instead of a bracelet? Because I don't want to give up any of those, you know, kind of thing.
Right. And that's what Kristen said too, making a necklace.
Yeah, it's
or
just another
shorten it and make a pair of earrings. Right.
And very true, Kristen. Yeah, I could turn those into earrings. Or they could just go back into my station stash or whatever, you know. I don't have a station stash. That's not my style. But, you know, Kim, yeah, I could go back in her stash because I have a feeling when we're done here, her craft hangouts are going to be a whole lot of station building for a while, and she's going to create an empire of them.
I think so too. Yep,
But
you guessed it.
There it is.
That's what I'm going to be doing.
There it is. Two different techniques to create similar, but yet not quite looks. You know, beads a hugging, beads not hugging so much. You know.
Is there okay? So did you talk about the focal point, like on the video? You tell us again where to find that video on choosing the beads, please.
Stacy May /Catitude. You find her. She's in our community. It was her live yesterday. I had like huge, like it was like a gallon bag of glass beads that had been all bagged up and everything, and I had them laid out in this basket tray thing, and I was just picking. Oh, that kind of looks good. Oh no, I don't like that. Yeah, you'll hear my outside thinking because I intentionally verbalized that, which, you know, kind of is my natural anyways. But
yeah, I talked to myself too.
Yeah. But yeah, these two here, there's mistakes. You know, like I said, I missed the hole.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, it was on this side. I missed the hole and came out on the side of the filigree, so that one will have to be restrung. Oops. And this one is currently a 10.5-inch long bracelet. So you got to sacrifice a station, and if you sacrifice a station, you got to sacrifice its sister, because, you know,
that's right.
For me,
that's right.
Yeah, I couldn't live with
no.
That would drive me.
No, yeah, you can't. You just can't.
But yeah, but that is 4 bracelets.
Okay. Kathy wants to know what size of elastic is good for stretch bracelets.
I have no idea. I avoid elastic stretch by the plague. I don't use the stuff. If I used elastic, I would use the fabric covered elastic from the fabric department instead of that jelly stuff that they're selling nowadays. Because you sneeze and it'll break and blow your beads all over wherever you're standing, you know, like in the middle of a movie theater, you know,
Right.
entry or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't use it. I honestly do not use the elastic stretch stuff. It's just not my cup of. Every bracelet that I make is constructed, and it's not just strung on elastic. But the only time
Exactly.
I use elastic, and again, I use the cotton covered sewing elastic to do doll bracelets because, you know, they can't do the hand butt, you know, so pop that, but that's it. That's the only time. And the reason I use the fabric covered is because the elastic inside breaks, the fabric weave will hold it together long enough for you to get it off your hand and get it in your handbag, and you're less likely to lose your beads.
Okay. Kristen says, I guess she's answering Kathy. Any is okay. If you have a skinny one, use 2 or 3 strands to fill the bead holes.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I don't use the stuff. I learned classic construction by myself as a kid, and I have always done classic construction.
And that's what I think my taste is more towards also. Any stretchy bracelet I get gets cut up. I don't.
Oh yeah, same.
To me, they're just like holding beads.
Yeah,
to me, they're just like another way to package them. They're just strung on a, you know, they got to come off of the elastic. I just look at them as beads. They're beads.
Yeah, personally, I just can't go there. I'm not taking my beautiful beads and stringing them on elastic, slapping them around my wrist because I know that they won't survive an hour on me because I'm rough with my hands. You know,
Right.
I'll forget to take it off when I go out and I'm starting to deconstruct some lumber thing or, you know, I'm cutting wood or whatever, you know. I've had rings just literally snap on my finger from holding like a reciprocating saw and forgetting to take my rings off.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
so,
that owl bead right there is about $12 bead. Last thing you want is that landing on a anywhere. You don't want it landing anywhere. You want it to stay where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing the bracelets for kids, Kathy, you know, just for dress up or, you know, to sell as just elastic acrylic beads, yeah, you would choose a whole different set of beads. You choose a whole different set of layout, and, you know, different lengths of cord, and it would be a whole different process, I think, anyway.
Yeah, agreed. Or you'd be starting at like 5 inches long, you know, maybe even 4.5. I don't know. I haven't measured a child's wrist to know. And, you know, put an extender on it because little girls like that dingle dangle of the extender.
Yes, they do. It's
and
so
it will last them, you know, 2 or 3 years that way in their growth process or more. You know, before they grow up and reach the point that, yeah, that they would need a larger size. You know.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, is there any questions on anything here? Or just general construction of anything?
We got Willow for a little bit longer, and she's got a lot of knowledge. So if you have any questions at all, I've asked a million of them. So if you guys have any questions at all, or her opinion on something or whatever, we got her right here. So now's the time.
I see Tina snuck in. Hey, Tina.
It's kind of hard when you haven't done it, but not watching it, you can, you know, see that you might have a question or two about something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Willow covered everything beautifully and very detailed, that I can understand it, and I learned a lot.
Yeah, these were
I
just
just
basic
can't get my eyes.
instructions.
I can't get my eyes off that owl one.
Yeah,
I have
that
never
puppy's
seen that
mine.
bead. I've
Yeah,
never seen that bead,
yeah.
and I just
And I don't even
adore
remember
it.
where I got it. I probably got it off of something. I don't think I bought it by itself. I think it, you know, because most of this is all harvest
Hmm.
um, stuff, you
And
know.
that's what mine's. Yeah, that's what mine will be too.
I mean,
And
I
I'm
do
going to
have
start with
some
this
new
color
stuff, you know,
palette
like
right here.
clearance rack from Hobby Lobby, but it's been a while since I've been there, so.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, guys. Well, I guess that's going to be it. Willow, thank you again so much for this. It's invaluable. I've learned so much today, and that's what I wanted. And thank you so much for doing that.
Well, like I said, if you have questions or need help with something,
Once I get going, I'm definitely going to rewatch this video, and I'm definitely going to see the one from Stacy's on Stacy's channel also. I think I'll start there so I can learn, you know, anything there is, because it can come down to color choice and design and all that, you know. So that's one I'm going to pick up on. Okay, guys, thanks for coming.
hold
See
on.
you.
Let me put a link in.
Oh,
Or
yeah, put
find
your
my
link
note.
in.
Yep.
Jane says thanks. Kathy says thank you. Kristen says thank you, Willow. You amaze me. Great tutorial. I learned lots. And hugs.
Same
Get
as
your link in.
almost. Trying to type with hands that don't want to cooperate.
Yeah. Yesterday was a real bad pain day for me. Today
Well,
it's my
I've
head.
been more symptomatic here as of late. My hands will go numb. I'll get
Yeah.
the needles a lot. That pinky is dead again. It was yesterday too. It's dead, and
Yeah.
I could sit here and stab that thing with a dagger, and I wouldn't feel a thing.
I
Um,
know. I know. I
it's
know.
weird.
Yeah, and mine used to be just the last three fingers of each hand. Now on my left, it's the whole hand,
Yeah.
and it's progressed in 5 years from 2 fingers to the whole hand now. You know.
Well, for me, it's the progression of longevity here, where I have not had pain management on my spine.
Right.
The two procedures I've had done were test runs
Yep.
on having the nerve bundle in my
Right.
spine burned.
Yes.
And they were successful. I go see the doctor or the specialist again on the 16th,
Oh,
and we're
really?
going to discuss how they went, and most likely opt in on the procedure to have that done and get that scheduled. So hopefully by the end of August, I will have made long-term pain management for my spine in order. So
Right. 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 Wow. Okay. Well, that's an exciting journey. I opted not to do that, but I didn't consult with a neurosurgeon that I thought had seen me at all.
yeah.
He took 2 seconds to glance at my chart, never said hello to me, never introduced himself to me, and he said, "Oh yeah, I can fix that." Handed the chart back to the nurse and walked out of the room. And it's like, no, I'm no. And I never went to a different one. That's the one my PCP keeps saying I need to be seeing. He's the best. Well, guess what? I didn't feel that. You know, I wasn't feeling.
Yeah, I mean, the pain
So I'm
specialist,
glad you found somebody that is going to explore that with you, and I'd love to hear about it.
yeah, I mean, the guy's a
Seriously.
jerk, but when he found out, you know, you need to sit down and talk to me or we're done,
I
he sat
know.
down and talked with me. So,
Yeah.
um, and gave me literature. I was able to do research online and you know, I've got a couple, 3 different options here, and I have opted in to try this first because it's less invasive. There's no implants or anything like that.
Right.
And the reason for that is because of the autoimmune conditions that I have where my body likes to reject anything foreign put in it.
Right.
So that's why I opted in on this, because there's nothing left behind, you know, that could get rejected.
Well, and it's like you said, least invasive. It's a procedure that's been around for quite a while.
Yeah, it's well established.
But yeah, and people either get great relief or they don't.
And that's why the test runs.
Other.
Yeah, the test runs, they put lidocaine in to numb the area so that they can load it full of Bivocaine, which is in the same family. They're just numbing agents. And for about the next 12 hours, you got to be very mindful of listening to your body and trying this or trying that, you know, bend this way, twist that way. See what's going to happen while that area is numb. And for me, I got very significant relief. Overall pain level, including my shoulders, my bad knee, my bad elbow, et cetera, the fibromyalgia, everything. During that time that was in my system, I was 80% improved.
Now, see, I had
overall pain. That was
what they did was inject through my neck sideways, not down through my spine, but through my neck sideways into my shoulder, and got that nerve and put a saline solution around it. And I had to wait 2 days and then call in and report how I felt. That was the preliminary for the insurance company. Then I could go ahead and have the nerve block, but I didn't feel any relief at all. And they wanted to repeat it. And I said, no, that is barbaric. You went through my neck sideways down into I was wide awake for that. And it hurt like I've had 4 children. Let me tell you, this was the most barbaric, wrong feeling thing ever that I've ever had done. And I refused to have it done again. I didn't care if it was going to help me in the end or not. That nobody told me it was going to be like that. I thought it was going to be like all the injections I've had, the spinal epidurals, that they go down through your spine, you know.
Yeah. I've had plenty of those.
Yeah. And they never helped me either, but that's what I thought it was going to be like. And then they went through my neck. I mean, that is just so wrong.
Yeah, I mean, this thing that they did for me, it's at the thoracic lumbar connection right there. And basically it's 3 needles, and also 3 needles of lidocaine, 3 needles of lidocaine, 3 needles of Bivocaine, 3 needles of Bivocaine. It was a total of 12 needles in that region, all in one fell swoop. And was it comfortable? No. Was it painful? Yes.
Yeah.
But was it intolerable pain for me? No. But I have an extremely high pain tolerance. I mean, I'm
I'm done.
2 entirely shredded shoulders.
Yeah, I've got none anymore.
A shredded spine. A huge multi-cluster thing of Tarlov cysts in my lower spine, which is lower lumbar and my full sacral region. I need a new knee because I have a permanently luxated patella. This elbow, what is it, a ligament that goes over right here, that snapped. So, I mean, that knobbly little bone is right there. I have to be real careful when I rest my elbow because I'll hit that puppy. You know, I need a lot of joint replacement. I also need a hip and possibly an ankle. They can't do any of that. I'm not a candidate for joint replacement. I'm not a candidate for abdominal mesh. I'm not a candidate for any of that. So, you know, it's risky implanting the TENS unit doohickey that they can do on the spine because my body's liable to reject it. And definitely fusion. Yeah, I'm definitely out on fusion. That's not an option.
Well, yeah, because they use a foreign body. They use a titanium disc. So yeah,
they put all that stuff in there.
Yeah, you'd definitely be out.
And you know, I wish I could get the joints replaced and be able to jog around the block, but that's just not going to happen for me, and I've accepted that. the injuries that caused the Tarlov cysts, the bad hip, and all of that, the bad shoulders, the tendons, my tendons are shredded in both thumbs. That was from a series of falls that happened in January of 2000, either 2000 or 2001. I took a series of falls. I was out shoveling a 75-foot driveway by hand with a hand shovel to clear the driveway so Dad could go have coffee with his cronies. But I had a sinus infection and my equilibrium was screwed up. And I took 3 falls that day. And from that, the trauma to my system caused mass bone spur overgrowth and my degenerative joint disease to just take off just exponentially. I mean, it just went batshit. And, you know, I've been dealing with those pains. From one of those falls, I also dislocated, you got those paddles in your butt cheeks that are tied to the tailbone thing and stuff. Both of those dislocated. They had to be relocated. The relocation of those 2 paddles was the most painful experience I've ever had. Because they cannot give you anything for pain relief, numbing, nothing, because they have to feel the sciatic nerve that goes through a hole in those little paddles release.
Yes.
And
Well, all
they can't
those
do that if you've got pain meds or something. So I had to endure it once, then a few minutes later endure it again and deal with all of that pain and not tense up. Because if I tensed up, it wasn't going to move.
Right.
So that was an experience of controlling my body and walking through that pain to get, you know, my butt back the way it was supposed to be.
Right.
That, yeah, I do not want to experience that again. Thank you very much. I have injured myself in a lot of ways throughout my life. And yeah, relocating those 2 butt paddle doohickeys was the most painful experience ever.
Wow.
Ever. I mean, I have pretty much severed a finger. And yeah, nothing compared to that. Nothing. I've stillborn children, twins. Yeah, nothing compared to that.
Right. Well, that's what I said about them sticking something in your neck, you know?
Yeah.
It's their experiences and their pain that your mind can't even comprehend.
Yeah. And the closest that I can get to that level of pain was a complete torticollis on my neck. My arm was up. I was scratching the back of my head when it happened. It just, and I was stuck. I could not bring that arm down. Whatever there was connected into all the tangle in my neck. I was 5, almost 6 hours in a chiropractor's office after hours. We got home, you know, like near midnight.
Were they able to? Were they able
just
to?
Him trying to get those bones all back where they were and get that arm released. It took 3 hours to get that arm released. So that arm was completely dead of blood. And yeah, when it came back down, oh Lordy Pete. But yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine that pain. I know that pain, some of that pain.
You know those tables they have that you know will lay you down. You know, you can get on it. It's got a little foot thing, and just lay on it, and it'll lay you down. No, I kept popping up. I had to force the doctor and have both of my parents who were in the exam room while he was treating me, because I was like 16, approve it to strap me down. You know, normally they don't do that. And I told him, I said, strap me down, because I can't do this anymore. This popping up, it's excruciating. Strap me down.
Right.
And well, we don't normally do that. I mean, we do still have some from back in the day. And I'm like, yeah, get them, because strap me down. He looked at me. He could see the seriousness in my face, but I was, I was a juvenile. And I looked at Mom and Dad and I said, tell him, strap me down. You've seen it. You know. Mom, you know me. Strap me down. And yeah, Dad was just kind of in shock, and Mom looked at Doc, and we've been going to that doctor forever. He was Mom and Dad's chiropractor forever. Mom looked at him and said, "Do it." And he
Yeah.
was like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And Mom was like, "You heard her. Do it.
Yeah.
She knows what she's talking about. Do it." So he had to strap me down. It got it done. I mean, I only had to be that way for what, 2 minutes, but it took him longer to strap me down than it did to lay me down with the
Right.
machine. But it had to be done. It had to be done. That was the only way. Because we tried like 6 or 8 times, and I would pop up into a sit-up position because something was pulled in such a way. I mean, I was just like spring-loaded. I could not stay laid down.
Yeah.
I only had one hand to hang on to the table because the other one was, stuck behind my head.
Right.
And I just, strapped me down. And he did it. He didn't want to do it, but he did it. And I said, just strap me across my chest and shoulders and strap me across my forehead. Let's go. So that's what he did.
Yep.
But even that, excuse me, was not as painful as relocating those 2 bones in my butt.
I'm sure it wasn't. And the broken bone in the shoulder is supposed to be the most painful injury that there is.
I haven't broken shoulder bone, but I have to relocate my arms on the regular because the main tendons and ligaments or whatever that hold it in place have snapped. I can be sitting here. I can be typing an auction, calling an auction. And I have stood up, walked behind the sofa, grabbed a hold of a wall, the end of a wall here behind me, still calling the auction because the laptop's like right here. I'm like 4 foot away. I was still calling the auction. They didn't even notice a change in the tone of my voice, and I had relocated my shoulder.
Ugh.
People didn't even know. They were clueless.
Wow.
I came back and sat down, and I was like, "Ow." And, the others on the panel were like, "What?" And I'm like, "I just relocated my shoulder, and it hurt."
Yeah.
And the whole time, I'm like, going once, going twice,
Well,
It was hilarious after, but in the moment, not so much. But hey, I did what I had to do. And it's not the first time. I've had to do it a couple, 3 times. Hello, Anne.
Hi, Anne. Well, I was going to say good morning, but you're on my time too. Now you're on my time, and it is 12:30. So
Yeah, it's 11:30 my time, so it's still AM. So good morning.
yeah, there you go. Your time. We'll go with Willow's time. It's morning there.
Whatever works. Good morning, afternoon, whatever. Hello.
Well, I did a lot of calls, in my job, and working for a company, you have a level of professionalism, and it would instead of calling somebody and when they say hello, you say hello back. It's just little more professional to say good morning or good afternoon. Well, we all know, and when you call the companies that I'm talking about, that it's the same. They're doing the same thing I'm doing,
Yeah.
And sometimes you mess up and it's afternoon and you say good morning and they laugh, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess it's afternoon. You just lose track. It's funny. But I always tend with good morning because I always tried to make my calls in the morning and get most of them done. That way I had the rest of the day to work on the result of those calls,
Yeah.
But
do the phone tag.
Yeah. And then in the afternoon that you finally get a hold of them, they'll call you back. Hi, Mama.
Yeah, you start early in the day so that you can go through the whole phone tag process and be able to wrap it, by the, end of your shift or whatever.
Yep.
I've done that.
Anne, are you working on anything?
Y'all need to check out her channel. If you like comedy, check out Anne's channel, please, because she's freaking hilarious.
Anne, you can post your link. Kristen, you can post your link.
Yep.
Janie, are you doing sales yet? You got a link you can post? Anybody can post.
And FYI, guys, I am trying to reach 500 so I can use a community tab. I'm still not going to do content, but I do want to have the community tab so that I'm able to give people updates when circumstances happen. You know, if somebody's down and out, you know, and I hear some news, because I'm constantly getting Facebook messages or emails. You know, have you heard how, you know, like Just Sandy's doing, or whatever, you know, Gianna, things like that, you know, and if I have an update, then I can share it. Also, you know, if I'm going to be modding somewhere or, you know, doing something like this, you know, I could put it in my community tab and put the link, and, you know, it would be a way to shout it out via YouTube, because I share on my Facebook, but, you know, it'd be nice to be able to, you know, put a link or what have you via my community tab. Yeah. That way, if people are looking for me, because people are always asking, you know, are you going to be modding here? Are you going to be doing this there? You know.
Sure. I know. You got a lot going on. You're very, very, very active. Very active.
Yeah. And that way I could just put it out there. And,
yep.
You know, if you're subbed, you'll get the
notification. So how do we connect
you know.
there? How do we connect with you?
I'm sorry?
How do we connect with you?
Oh, guess I need to go get my own damn link, don't I?
Oh, Anne said she'll put it up, Willow. Make sure you're still subscribed to me. I have, I think, 136. It would be really cool to get to 150.
I got it, Anne. There we go.
There you go. Awesome. Everybody's is up. Anne, Jane, Kathy, where's yours, hon?
Last time I looked, oh yes, I'm at 297. I'm 3 away from 300 mark.
Awesome.
So I've got a little ways to go, but I've gotten like 75 of that in, I don't know, between 50 and 75 of that here in the last week or two.
Okay.
Because folks have been shouting me out, which I greatly appreciate. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. But,
oh, can somebody post Kathy's link? She doesn't know how to do it.
Oh, sure.
Thanks, Willow.
Oh, wrong button. Give me a second. Brain fart.
Janie says 2 away now, Willow.
Awesome. Thank you. Let me grab Kathy's channel real quick. Got it. Get back to the YouTube chat. Not a problem. All right.
That's all right, Kathy.
Channel. There we go. There's Kathy's channel. Oh, looks like Jane may have got it too.
Yeah,
it's all right.
That's all right.
More the merrier.
Yep.
It happens. It's all good.
Well, Irene's coming on at 1, so I probably should let everybody go in case they're going to go over and see Irene at 1.
Early, I seen something pop up. That could have been a 30-minute though. I'm not sure.
I thought it was a 30-minute at 1:30, or I mean at 12:30. I
don't know. I mean, I was just in YouTube. Didn't even bother to look. I was too busy grabbing link.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, she'll be smart here.
And I will see you Thursday. Hey, Thursday I have bags of beads, lunch size, sandwich size bags of beads, and bags of single earrings that I'm going to be selling on Thursday on Kristen's channel. So you guys come on over there.
If y'all want to go and see my thought process on bead selection.
Yes, put that in too, please.
Here is Stacy's, and she is currently live. If you need a place to hang out until Irene comes on.
Okay, cool.
She's on there creating.
All right, awesome. Okay, guys, thanks for coming today. Thanks, Willow, again for sharing your knowledge with us. It was great.
You're
You
most
did a
welcome. Thanks for
fantastic
having me.
job. Okay, guys, bye.
See you on the flip side. Bye, everyone.